remember several years back, the Miss USA girl, pageant girl, someone in the audience asked her about about like the poor people in Iraq and stuff. She had no idea that Iraq was a country, and she didn't know how to answer. And she's like, "Oh yeah, well, in the Iraq, the Iraq." I don't know why I even thought of that, because it has nothing to do with the title of this video or what I'm about to talk about. But I thought I could start it by saying the Canada. For my folks up in the Canada, Wolf Richter at wolfstreet.com. All heck breaks loose in Toronto's housing price bubble. This is right up my alley. I've been covering this from day one. The housing apocalypse that's cometh. And, Toronto was one of the first things I had to get out here and talk about because it was so bad. The Chinese flooding the place, but buying up everything and then leaving it there to rot, causing the prices, the locals couldn't even afford to live in their own town. Chinese buying it all up. I mean, is that not like a national security measure? Like, that's a national security concern. Yeah, we can't just let, people, especially from a potential superpower, China, just come in here and buy up everything. I mean, they could take over the whole damn town. Oh, but they're bringing in so much money, it's fine. We get all that tax money and everything, it's great. Until it's not great. And now they had to pass laws that say we're going to charge you 15% of that house value every year if you don't live in the house for 6 months or more, or rent it out for 6 months or more. So 15% of $1 million house every year. Ooh, that's a nice little nut to crack every year, isn't it? But this is not necessarily what that's about. I was just kind of refreshing your memory. During the first 2 weeks in May, it was the merry, merry month of May. According to preliminary data from Toronto Real Estate Board, home listings surged 47% from the same period last year, even as sales plunged 16%. The average selling, so that was listings, right? Listings surged, even though sales plunged 16%. The average selling price dropped 3.3% from April, and this after a 33% year-over-year spike in home prices in March and a 25% surge in April. Something is happening to Toronto's blistering house price bubble. Canada's largest alternative mortgage lender, you may have heard of this one as I've covered it, its epic failure, Home Capital Group, which, and here's partially why they are failing, ready? Which focuses on new immigrants and subprime borrowers turned down by banks, is melting down after a run on its deposits that crushed its funding sources. The industry is worried about contagion. At the same time, the provincial government of Ontario announced a slew of drastic measures, including a 15% tax on purchases by non-resident foreign investors to tamp down on the housing market insanity that left many locals unable to buy even a modest home. It comes after Bank of Canada Governor Stephen Poloz warned in April that home prices are in a unsustainable zone and that the market has divorced itself from any fundamentals that we can identify, that there was no fundamental story that we could tell to justify that kind of inflation rate in housing prices, and that it's time we remind folks that prices of houses can go down as well as up. People need to ask themselves very carefully, why am I buying this house? And you may ask yourself, why am I buying this house? And you may ask yourself, how did I get this beautiful wife? Well, the days go by. Well, no. That was that was given. Come on. Why am I buying this house? Why did I live here? And I may ask myself, why did I move in with Riff Raff? Because I'm counting the days going by so I could sell some Bitcoin and get my nice McMansion and not have to sell silver. A few days ago, Moody's Investor Service downgraded Canada's 6 largest banks on concerns over their exposure to the housing bubble and household indebtedness that ranks among the highest in the world. Now even the relentlessly optimistic industry begins to fret. Excuse me. Oh, this is a she? This is a she. We are seeing people who paid those crazy prices over the last few months walking away from their deposits. Carissa Turnbull, a Royal LePage broker in the Toronto suburb of Oakville, told Bloomberg. She said they didn't get a single visitor to an open house over the weekend. Quote, they don't want to close anymore. Definitely a perception change occurred from Home Capital. Shubha Dasgupta, owner of Toronto-based mortgage brokerage Capital Lending Center, told Bloomberg. In less than 1 week, we went from having 40 or 50 people coming to an open house to now, when you are lucky, to get 5. Case Fenstra, an agent at Royal LePage Real Estate Services, Loretta Finley in Mississauga, Ontario, told Bloomberg. Everyone went into hibernation. I've had situations where buyers are trying to find another buyer to take over their deal, Toronto real estate lawyer Mark Weisleiter told Bloomberg. Some clients want out of transactions, he said. They are nervous whether they bought right at the top and prices may come down. Home Capital had a, quote, bigger impact on the market than Ontario's announcement of the new rules, he said. So if there's one positive thing that I just read you, quote, they are nervous whether they bought right at the top and prices may come down. No, they're not nervous. They know, damn it, we did buy at the top. I listened to these effing commercials, flip the house, house seminar, flip the house seminar, it's going up, it's going to keep going. And even though I didn't go to the seminar, I just wanted to buy a house. It convinced me that the price are going to keep going, I better get it now before it's too late. And then it'll be too high and I won't be able to afford it. But my conscience is telling me that this all seems familiar. I'm having amnesia, but it kind of seems familiar. And the part that seems familiar is that prices do come down. And I do think I bought at the top, which means we are at the top. Well, good for you, whoever that may have been. You put down the hopium pipe and got a dose of reality, some realist news blown in your face. Home Capital is affecting things because people who can't get mortgages from their banks rely on them and other B lenders. Laurent Sebastian, an agent with iPro Realty in Toronto, also told Bloomberg, if you can't get the mortgage, then you obviously can't buy anything, and it's going to affect the market, especially for the higher-priced properties. It's fear, said Joan Evans, owner of this century 21st millennium, about the impact of Home Capital on housing. It's another contributing factor to the fear of what's going to happen. End quote. And it's ever so slowly sinking in more broadly. In Canada, the theory has spread that real estate values can never, ever go down in any significant way, on the theory that they always go up because they didn't take a big hit during the financial crisis and because the prior declines have been forgotten. So optimism about rising home prices has been huge. Now weekly polling data by Nano Research for Bloomberg is showing the first signs of second thoughts. 2 weeks ago, the share of people saying home prices would rise in the next 6 months was a record 50.1%. The following week, just one week later, it dropped to 47.7%. In the most recent poll, it has now dropped to 46%. While these aren't huge numbers, again, there's now a trend. 3 in a row, it's going down. But those who are able to sell at whatever appears to be those who are able to sell at what appears to be the very tippity top of the market are not complaining. Bloomberg cites business school professor Michael Hartman, who put his North Toronto home up for sale on May 17th, sold it on May 22nd for a cool 1.65 million Canadian dollars, which was actually 10,000 above the asking price. He and his wife are planning to rent in C. Oh, so ye old professor. Greetings, professor. Shall we play a game? Yes, computer. How about we play global thermal nuclear real estate bubble? Sounds like a plan, professor. And Professor won. Professor beat Joshua, the computer, from War Games. Professor beat Joshua. I'm going to sell. Not only did we sell, we got $10,000 more than we asked. And I'm going to sit back and rent and wait. Now, that's an interesting statement. He didn't say, I'm just going to go rent. He made it. He and his wife are planning to rent and see. See what? Rent and see what? See if the prices come down. And then take his cool 1.65 million Canadian dollars and go buy more house, more bang for his buck. I bet he is. I bet that's exactly what he's going to do. As Elf said, that's exactly where I was. You look like you just came from the North Pole. It's exactly where I was. You look like you just sold a house for $10,000 more than it was worth. That's exactly what I did. And now I'm going to wait and see if I can capitalize on a great deal. Well, Mr. Professor, greetings, Professor. Shall you take 10,000 profit and put it into cryptocurrencies? No, computer. I don't trust those things. I want to go put it in the stock market. Yeah, you lose. So anyways, more proof. Again, as I say, the proof is in the pudding. Canadian housing bubble is the pudding, and there's the proof. It is going down. It's going down. I'm yelling timber. You better run. You got that right. I'm out.